Welcome into Phoenix Breathwork, the podcast, Breathe to Rise. My name is Jessie and I'm your host. I will be using this platform to share the power and magic of breathwork and to empower you to be able to transform your life as much as I have mine. I will share my experiences and will be inviting on some incredible guests to share their stories too. Look forward to guided breathwork practices and meditations to help you explore and build your own relationship with yourself and your breath. Get settled in and enjoy what's to come. Make sure to like, share and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will ensure to keep creating more. I hope you are inspired in some way. Let's breathe to rise. Hello, welcome into the next episode of Phoenix Breathwork, the podcast, Breathe to Rise. I am Jessie, your host. Delighted to be here with you today, as always. And today, what I'd like to talk to you about is a little bit more about our unique breathing patterns. Now, if you've listened to some of the other episodes, particularly with the other guests that I've had on, we have talked about different breathing patterns and in particular, breathing analysis. So what do we mean and what are we talking about? So the way that we breathe is completely unique to us. In fact, our unique breathing patterns are as individual to us as a fingerprint. Yeah, how cool is that? It literally blew my mind when I found out. I was like, that's how cool we are. And the way that this happens is because of the life experiences that we've had, the way that we interpret information, receive information, process information, the way that we control our breath can completely change our individual breathing pattern. And that's what makes it so unique to us, our unique life experiences, our unique selves as a person. So let's expand on this a little bit. Let's do a quick breath check. Let's just check in. I think this is going to make it a lot easier for you to try and understand. So wherever you are, as long as it's safe for you to do so, just take a moment to pause and check in with your breath. So allow yourself to sit comfortably with your back supported, legs uncrossed, feet firmly on the ground. Take a moment to adjust now. And then I'm going to invite you to close your eyes down if you feel comfortable to do so. Close your eyes down. Take a moment now just to bring your awareness within. Bring awareness and attention to your breath. Just notice your breath. Notice how you're breathing. Notice how it feels. Literally follow that breath in as you inhale. Out as you exhale. What do you notice? How does it feel? How fast or how slow are you breathing? How deep or how shallow is your breath? Where do you notice the breath moving in your body? If you want, you can place a hand on your chest, a hand on your belly. Notice, is your breath moving more in the chest? Maybe it's moving more in the belly. Maybe it's about the same. What do you notice about the flow of your breath? Is it flowing in and out gently like a wave? Or are you noticing maybe you're pausing, holding the breath? Maybe it feels a bit tight, maybe a bit tense. Maybe it feels a bit jagged and it's not flowing gently in and out. Whatever you're noticing is absolutely fine. Just take a moment to observe. What muscles do you feel moving as you breathe? What muscles are you using? If you notice your shoulders are moving, allow them to relax. We don't need our shoulders to breathe. And now gently take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Just release that and let it go. One more time, just gently in. Letting it go. Beautiful. What did you notice? Take a moment. If you want to write this down, write it down. What did you notice? Maybe there was something about your breathing that you hadn't been aware of before that came to your attention when you paused to check. Were you aware that maybe you were holding your breath? Were you aware that maybe you were breathing quite fast? Did that change as you were paying attention? Just anything at all you noticed, just take a moment to write it down. Start to be aware of your own breathing pattern. Start to notice how you are breathing and how it feels as you breathe. So we have more typical breathing patterns. Now, when I asked if you notice a breath more in the chest, some of us do. Some of us breathe more up into the chest than anywhere else. Some of us will breathe further into the belly. Some of us will breathe around the middle, around the solar plexus. And now, even though our unique breathing pattern is individual to us, there are these more typical patterns, and they can mean different things. It's a reflection of what's going on for us at that time. So what's happening is that if we're breathing more in the chest, it could be that we are in a slightly high pressured situation. We're feeling a bit stressed, and so we are breathing quicker and taking those shorter, sharper breaths. Because by doing this, we're actually activating the stress response in the body. We're engaging our sympathetic nervous system, which gives us that extra energy that we need to maybe perform certain tasks and get things done. So it's not a bad thing. But if we remain in that state for an extended period of time and we stop expending that energy and we don't need to have that extra level of stress response in the body, then that's when we can start to feel the negative impact of it. Because we're creating, what's happening is when we're triggering our sympathetic nervous system, we're sending signals to our body and to our brain that, whoa, we might be in a dangerous situation here. It's our fight or flight response. So we need to get out of this situation or save our lives. And so the body's having a chemical response at this time, and cortisol levels are rising, adrenaline's rising, blood pressure's rising, everything's rising in the body to try and help to prepare us to save ourselves from this situation, or, get through the task we're preparing to do at that time. And so it's really important to know what's happening, because if we're expending the energy, great. But if we're sitting stationary in one place and having that fast, active breath pattern, then we could be starting to feel the negative effects of that. And that's where our stress, panic, anxiety starts to kick in. So it's just good to be aware of what our breath is doing at what time and what situation we're in and how we're feeling. Because if we can change that way we're breathing, we can then change how we're feeling. If we to slow the breath down, to deepen the breath, to engage our diaphragm, we can start to counter that effect, counter that feeling by starting to really engage our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest response. And that will then start to bring all of those levels of adrenaline and everything that's gone quite high up. It will start to immediately bring those down and engage a sense of calm in the body. And when we do this, we'll notice our breath is deepened a little bit or slowed down a little bit. And this is what we would like to be aware of, because those of us that might be noticing we're breathing more in the belly might feel like we're a bit more grounded that time. We might feel like we're really present, really set in our ways. We know what we're doing. And if there's no breath in the chest whilst we're breathing in the belly, we may also be aware that actually we're not as active or not moving so much or not as expressive as much as some of those other people that are breathing in their chests. So what we would like to do is even this out and have a more open, full equal breath. So as we inhale, the diaphragm is contracting, which allows the belly to expand out, whilst the lungs fill with air, allowing the chest to expand, and then it releases and softens. So it's like the belly, the chest, release. It's almost like a beautiful wave breath that comes in the body. And the way that we're breathing at any one time is going to be directly reflective of how we're feeling at that time. So I want you to start to pay attention. Notice your breath. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how you're breathing. And you can change it in that moment to change how you're feeling. Okay. So maybe if you are breathing in the belly a lot and you don't feel like you have a lot of energy to get anything done, you can do a breathing exercise to change that, to feel more energized. You can quicken and shorten the breath to get a bit of an energy boost, or you can slow and deepen the breath to feel calmer. It's pretty cool when you think about it, actually. And I've got plenty of these breathing exercises to share with you. They're on my website, on my YouTube channel. I will share more on here soon as well. But for now, I just want you to start to be aware of your breathing pattern. Now, when we talk about breathing analysis, like I said, you may have heard me talk with some of the other breath coaches about breathing analysis. What we are trained to do, now this is not everybody. So I'm trained with the School of Transformational Breath. And so far, everyone I've interviewed has been trained with the School of Transformational Breath. So we are specifically taught about body mapping. And we are trained to read your breathing pattern to see where in your body you are holding any kind of tightness or tension that may be restraining or restricting your breath, which is then causing you to breathe in a certain way, which is then making you feel a certain way. And what's pretty cool is, like I said, this is completely unique to us because we hold our breath and have stored our breath in very unique ways based on our life experiences. Now, what do I mean by this? So let's talk about emotions, right? So what happens to your breath when you're experiencing a certain type of emotion? Have a think about this. Maybe if you're feeling a bit upset and you're at work and you actually don't want anyone to see that you're upset and you don't want to cry in front of people, so you hold your breath and you literally swallow that emotion back down because you don't want anyone to see it. Or maybe you've got to deal with the kids. Maybe you've got something on you need to do, so you can't express or feel that at that time. So you hold it in. You literally hold it in with your breath. What about when you get scared? You might hold your breath and tense up at the same time. You hurt yourself and you stub your toe. You hold your breath and you tense up, right? Or when you're angry and you like grit those teeth and you like really want to say something, but you don't. So you're holding your breath and you tense up and you just hold it all in with your breath. We could be doing this throughout our lifetime. And it's not just these heavier emotions, it's also joy. You know, what happens when you like really want to laugh at something, but you're like, oh my God, it's so inappropriate or it's not the right time. So you hold that laughter in as well. You could have been doing this since childhood, like your entire lifetime, controlling your emotions with your breath and vice versa. So what's happening when we do this in a repeated fashion is that we're holding our breath, tensing up, or whatever we do, and we're starting to create pockets of tension in the body where we've held that in and we've repeatedly held our breath and repeatedly tensed up. And what we've done is we've stored it in the body somewhere. So that tension remains. And actually, as that tension remains, when we breathe, we can't take a full breath because of the tension that we've stored in the body. So our breath becomes restricted. And when our breath becomes restricted and we can't take a full breath, this is when we start to notice the negative effects of that. Because, we're not getting enough breath into the body. We're not getting enough, oxygen into our cells. We're not going to get our, lymphatic system working properly. All of our nervous system, everything is connected. So all because we might be holding our breath in a repeated way, which has then become a habit. And this way of breathing becomes our norm. And we don't realize that our breath pattern might be restricted because we don't know otherwise, because it's been such a gradual change. Okay, so when we start to consciously work with our breath and start to breathe better, we start to open up these pockets of tension. We start to release whatever we've held. And by doing this, we can release whatever we've stored away and allow ourselves to breathe better, to feel better. But one cool thing that can happen when we do this is that we can release the tension and the emotion we've been holding in that tension as we breathe. And that's where the magic is. Because if we're able to release that, we have to feel it to allow it to release rather than storing it away. And this is where the work is, because the reason we've stored it away is probably because it was too uncomfortable, too painful, didn't have time or space to feel it at the time. And so to be able to then do that now, to release it, you've got to be a bit brave. You've got to welcome it. You've got to allow it. You've got to step into that discomfort and feel it fully to be able to get your freedom on the other side. And us as breath workers are trained to read your breath to see this. And particularly in transformational breath, what we will do is use our hands and press acupressure points across your body to release this tension. When we see it, we will see where you're holding your breath. We will see these pockets of tension and we will work with you to release it. But you have to be ready to. You have to be brave enough to. And you go at your pace. That's the key thing here. You go at your pace when you're ready, because I believe our bodies are so intelligent. They know what's coming and they will only give us what we can handle at that time. So don't feel like you come for one session, you're like letting it all out, letting it all go, and that's it, done, off we go. Now, don't get me wrong, this has happened for people and it can happen for people, but not everybody. I've got clients I've worked with for years who are unlocking and releasing little things at a time because that's where they're at and that's their process. And they are happy with that. And when I talk about letting go the stuff that we've held in and the tension that could have been really old from childhood, anything at all, even once we've done that, life is still happening, right? So we have to learn to maintain this and continue with it because it's a lifelong practice. It's like the best habit you could ever start to create is working with your breath, because it will support you through life's challenges, not just the stuff that we've dealt with or not dealt with in the past and stored away, but also the stuff that's happening right now, the stuff that may happen. It's going to give us the resources, the tools, the ability to manage that moving forward. And when we're in it, working with our breath is something that is really going to support us. So to really understand this, I believe that you're going to have to experience it for yourself or come along to a workshop, because I do a demonstration in every single workshop. Every introductory workshop, you will have a demonstration of a breathing analysis. So you will be able to see how we work with you and release that tension in your body, in your breath, to allow it to open up, to allow you to feel freer, to allow you to be more of yourself, to allow you to show up as your whole self. And it's one of those things that you really have to experience to know. You really have to experience it to know. So it is beyond powerful, in my opinion, and it has changed my life. And I want you all to experience this. So this podcast episode is just to go a little bit more into understanding that we all have unique ways of breathing. We have a unique breathing pattern of our own, but there are a couple of more typical breathing patterns. Like I said, breathing in the chest, breathing in the belly, breathing in the middle. But being able to recognize and understand your own breathing pattern is what's going to be really powerful for you, because then you can start to work with your breath and understand it better to change it when needed. So let me know what you think of this. Let me know if you have any questions, and come along to a class. I run monthly breathing workshops in Richmond in the UK, and I have a number of events that I put on throughout the year. I also have a retreat happening, and there are a number of festivals I will be at over the summer. So just make sure you're on my mailing list if you're not already. You'll get all of the updates straight into your inbox, or just drop me a message. I am always available. Drop me an email, drop me a DM on Insta, wherever you are, then connect with me. And if you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, come along and breathe. Come and give it a go. Come and experience the magic for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll be back soon with more. Thank you for listening today. If anything resonated, then let us know below. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard, then please remember to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep reaching more people to spread the endless benefits and transformations we can experience through breathwork. I'll see you in the next episode.